Today, we are very excited to welcome back to the show intuitive life transformational healer, the beautiful Sherri Divband. Hello, Sherri. Welcome back.
Hello, you beautiful ladies. Thank you so much for having me back.
Sherri, we absolutely loved our last chat with you, and so did our audience. And we do recommend people going back to that first interview if you haven't seen it, anyone new to our channel. We had talked a lot about your background in that interview and how you got to this point that you're at today. But just for our new viewers, did you want to just briefly chat about exactly the type of energy healing work that you do currently? We'll start there.
Okay. So the current work that I do is more on a quantum level. So I do quantum energy healing. So if you expand the traditional energy healing, which we refer to a lot of the times as Reiki, some sort of Reiki, over time I've worked more multidimensionally. So I work with past lives, which I call timelines because they're not really past, present, or future. So I open up what I refer to as the timelines, and I'm helping people right now clear karma, contracts, negative energy, cell memory, traumas, energetic cords, anything, because what's happening right now is as we transfer into a higher frequency, the veil is getting very thin and Mother Earth is not able to hold all of our infinite timelines anymore, infinite choices, all of that is too heavy, literally, it's dense energy. And so what I was told about a few years ago, which at the time I didn't quite understand what it meant, I knew what it meant, but you know, fully embracing it, I didn't really understand. But what I was told is that we no longer are in the karmic wheel anymore, and we no longer need to carry the burden of the karma that we've had in all these other timelines and all the contracts and all the burden and the trauma that's over and over and over. So I was instructed years ago with my clients to start clearing people's timelines, and I didn't really know how profound it was until really about a year ago. So a year in, I was like, oh, I had that aha moment. I was like, that's why I'm doing this, because it became more clear as I was working with people. And so the healing that I do is very multidimensional. I expand it out. So working less with the physical body and more with the metaphysical and the soul healing aspect of things, soul fragments, sound healing, and really helping people through the ascension process. I would say that's the main thing, helping people release and heal in different levels, different layers, dimensionally, and helping them understand what density they're in, what frequency they're in, and how they can evolve. Because I'm very big on, and I've always been this way, and this is what my first book was about, is helping people, empowering people to heal themselves. So in my sessions, no matter if it was yesterday or 9-10 years ago, I always told people, okay, I can do a lot for you in one session, but then after today, what you do next is up to you. So I would always give them things to do. Try this meditation, try these different things, these techniques, this lifestyle change, and give them affirmations and things to do to take their healing into their own hands. And it was so profound because they would come back to me and say, wow, like I really made a lifestyle change and it was really working. And which is how I got a lot of the ideas for my book, because I found I was saying the same things a lot over and over to people, like, oh, try this. And they would say, well, what does this mean? And how does that work? And I would have this like speech. And then I was like, God, I just need to write this book so I could be like, here, read this and you'll have a better understanding of what we just did in the session. So, over time, just like with anything else, I feel like the sessions have evolved to a space that, at times I don't really understand completely logically, but that's the whole thing with healing. When I teach people how to do the healing that I do, I say, this is a very right-brained activity. You can't think too much. Otherwise you're going to go around in circles and it's never going to make sense. So you have to just let it go and have faith that what you're doing is through your intention and through your vibration and what you're putting out and your thoughts and how it manifests. And so that can be different for different people depending on, where they are in their growth. But the most important thing is to have a belief and an understanding that we have the power, each and every one of us, depending on no matter is what I'm trying to say, no matter your age, your background, where you're from, none of that matters, because we all have the same ability as anyone else. And so, I guess that's kind of an explanation of what quantum healing is, because people ask me that. I have it on my website, quantum healing. They're like, what does that mean? So I feel like That's the best way to describe it. It's very multidimensional. It's at a soul level, as opposed to, Carly and Sherri, like what's happening right now. It's much bigger than that.
Mm-hmm. And you did say that you've published 2 books already, haven't you, Sherri? And are you still working on your 3rd? Is that one coming out?
I shot myself in the foot. I should have never said it. I did an interview with Michael Jaco.
That's right, yeah.
I don't know, it was in May, and I was like, yeah, I'm like halfway through. I swear to you guys, I have not worked on it one time since that date, because I haven't had the time, and I need to finish it because it's all in here. I just have to get it out, but I would love to have it out by early next year. That's my plan.
Okay, well, that's not too far away, really, is it? Because time, we spoke about this last time, and time is just moving so fast. And this wasn't one of our questions today, but it is definitely a point we can talk about, another time. But I think you agree with us that time is it's literally like almost like it's sped up double time or something like that. That's how you feel. Yeah. Certainly on certain days it feels that way, doesn't it? Yeah.
So Sherri, we'll definitely put your links to your books below the video. And also, are you still available for sessions? We'll make sure we link your website below as well. Do you still have spots available?
I do. Mid-December, I think, is the soonest I have right now. I do try to prioritize children's sessions. So when I have parents reach out, I try to fit them in certain days that I have blocked off. But for adult sessions, I don't have anything until December. But I am still accepting sessions. They just have to wait a little bit.
Okay, great. Okay. Sherri, I wanted to know, with every individual client, is there a goal? This probably sounds a little bit too 3D considering it's quantum healing, but do you sort of have, and with the client, a goal that you're trying to work towards, or are we all just trying to work towards this 5D level? And are we trying to heal all of our old timelines? Is that really the goal at the end of all of this, so we can be just pure beings in a sense?
I mean, in essence, yes, but it's not really 5D to me. It's not really the goal. I think it's just where we're headed, but it's really about taking our power back. I'm big on that. We've lost our power over time. Humanity has lost its power due to variety of reasons that I know your audience already knows what those are, so we don't need to get into them. But right now, the ascension is all about us getting our power back, tapping into our higher awareness. They've done so many things to block that channel for us for centuries, through electromagnetic frequencies and chemtrails and our food. I mean, so many different things that we are aware of. And so it's really just diminished our life force energy, which is what connects us to our higher self, our soul. And then from there, it connects us to the collective consciousness of humanity, which is where all the knowledge is held. It's like the internet for everybody to access all the knowledge, all the wisdom that each one of us has contributed to in some way. And so we're getting that power back. We're reconnecting the life force. So when I work with clients and they have been in the wheel of reincarnation, for example, not everybody has been in it. And that surprises a lot of people that I talk to, because there are people who have volunteered, there are souls that have volunteered to come to this planet and have had very few lives, and they're light workers. And so they really didn't get sucked into the wheel of reincarnation. They weren't in the suffering wheel of 50, 60, hundreds of lives of just awful disease and illness and trauma, things like that. But the ones that I do work with, I try to reconnect their soul life force energy, because it's so dull that those are the ones that are waking up right now. But they say, no matter what I do, I can't connect. And they're newly spiritual. They're saying, I believe it, but I don't see any proof of it yet. Please help me connect. I feel fatigued. I don't have any energy. I don't have any light within me. I don't have any motivation. I don't have clarity. I don't know what to do. They still have that beautiful light within them, but they're so lost because of all of the traumas that they've endured for so many lifetimes, that they are finally free of that, but then they don't know what to do with it. So they're like, okay, I recognize that, but now what do I do? And so there are a lot of beautiful life coaches out there that are helping guide people, not just me. There are many others, thousands of beautiful people out there helping these newly awakened souls reconnect with their higher purpose. And so it's really about reclaiming our power, our sovereignty, and recognizing that each and every person on this planet that is walking amongst us, that has chosen the light. So that's the important thing, that their soul has said, I want to be here, because not all of them have. those that have chosen and say, I want to be here, I want to contribute, they are here to expand consciousness, and in a way that we are, all of our senses are heightened. We create a new earth for the next generations to come, of children that come through, that are going to be on this planet much longer than we are, because the lifespan will expand significantly, probably in the next generation, where people will be living much longer lives, having much more children, having much more experiences, having more choices, because they're not boxed into this matrix for their whole life of feeling like they're not good enough, or they're constantly fighting for their freedom. And so the ascension is just so much bigger than the 5D element. It's our freedom, essentially, is what it is. It's getting our sovereignty back. It's connecting to our interstellar brothers and sisters that can come here and guide us and bring back Lemurian principles, for instance. That's one thing that's been really exciting in my sessions recently, are all Lemurians. I've been asking, because I had a life in Lemuria. I've only had one life in Lemuria, this one right now. And I've been asking, where are all my Lemurian brothers and sisters? I haven't, I've had a bunch of Atlanteans come through, but not so much Lemurians. Like, maybe I could count on one hand in the last 5 years. And I can't tell you how many. I mean, dozens and dozens in the last 6 months. And within the last month, probably half of those were condensed within the last month. And I've been told, like, it's time for them to reveal themselves and who they are, and understand who they are, who maybe don't remember, because we're bringing back a lot of the Lemurian teachings, healing and teaching for the children. So my youth centers are slowly merging into a lot of Lemurian foundational teachings and spiritual healing techniques and frequencies, and tapping into that. So, it's really hard to condense the ascension into one category, because it's really very expansive. But really, if we had to, simplify it for people, it's really just expanding our consciousness into our true capabilities and our true power, because it can evolve way past 5D. You know what I'm saying? As we evolve, there's no stopping us from that point. It's so much bigger than that.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we could almost do a whole session just on that one little topic, couldn't we, Sherri?
I could talk forever. You got to stop me.
That's okay. We like you talking.
I would love to dive deep into the Lemurian principles, but I think we will leave that for our next chat with you. We have so many other questions we want to get through, but it's so fascinating.
I always find myself frantically writing things down when you talk, because there's so many little pointers that you come up with, and I'm like, I need to remember that. So you're a wealth of knowledge, Sherri.
But I wanted to find out, with your recent client sessions, was there anything else that came through in the last month in regards to where we're at, like an energy update, I suppose, for the world?
And I might just interject with my next question as well. With the people that you see, I know you focus a lot on the children, and especially when you do these videos. Do any of the children focus on certain countries around the world? Do they, I guess, hail from certain countries specifically, or do they all work together in a telepathic sort of sense? So are they mentioning things about different places around the world, and how they are assisting in humanity in that sort of sense? Because I know Australia's been really targeted. We were talking off air recently. And obviously we want other countries to be aware of that, and to be sending out prayers to people and helping in that sort of sense. But the people in these sessions, do they ever mention anything about different countries and working together with different groups in humanity or societies?
Yeah, absolutely. I talk about divine children in my book, the second book, and divine children are an exceptional group of children that are coming through and started coming through in 2019 to 2023, and they are they're different. The veil is very thin. Their senses are already heightened. They're already crystalline. They're 12-strand DNA. They remember their purpose. They're healers from a young age. They understand that they fully understand what they're here to do. And I have been told that they have a super consciousness, meaning they are connected to each other in every country, in every part all over the world. And they are strategically placed in every country, in every star sign, both genders equally, because it has to be divine, masculine, and feminine energies. There needs to be an equal balance, which each one of them have. So this is happening all over the world. These children are being born everywhere, and the parents of these children are becoming activated for a reason, so that they have an awareness about them and an understanding. And I get emails from beautiful parents from Australia, from New Zealand, from I mean, you name it. I could list off a dozen places right now that are like, when are your centers going to be in my area? My children are desperately in need of a different educational system, or an understanding that I cannot provide for them, you know, and they're emailing me weekly. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? So there's a desperate need for it. I don't like to use the word desperate. There's a definite need for it, and there are children everywhere strategically placed to help lift humanity and through this ascension process. So they are everywhere, and they are activated, and they are different for a reason. So they're breaking down paradigms left and right, which is what they're here to do. And it's very uncomfortable for them, unfortunately, which is what I'm working with them a lot about, understanding why they're different, and that it's okay. I forgot your first question that you guys asked me that was a part of that.
I said, in regards to the recent client sessions you've had, like in the last month, has there been any updates around the energy, I suppose, collectively? Where are we sort of sitting?
Yeah. Oh, that's what, I'm sorry. That's where I was going with the divinely guided, the divine children. So I put this connection together because I had an interview with Michael Jaco a while back, and we talked about, you know, where are we? What do you see coming in the next few years? And I said, you know, I didn't put it together initially because I heard about divine children like 5 years ago, and we weren't really where we are right now. So I didn't have that understanding. But there's a reason that these children are coming up until 2023. And I'm seeing through my sessions significant change happening 2020 to 2023. And so this is a pivotal point. So my answer to that is that in my sessions, I feel like the visuals that I'm getting about what these individual people are going to be doing in regards to contributing to the evolution of humanity, whether it's technology, healing, working with children, like all of these avenues are becoming activated everywhere. And I'm able to, like, I use the analogy, it's almost as if I could peek through the window of the future through each one of the people that I'm working with to see, oh, wow, look at that. That looks really cool. I did a session the other day with a woman, and her spirit guide showed me the future of humanity, and it looks completely different, but I never saw it in this way, where it's almost as if it's like we can create and manifest what it is that we want to learn and to experience, right? So if Sherri is more interested in being with outside in nature by water, and it's you know, very holistic and very natural, and you're outside a lot and you're just one with nature, then there's going to be these pods like everywhere, all over the world, where like-minded communities, like compounds, but that's not the right word for it, but you know what I mean. And then those that really like the futuristic, like, you know, Jetsons type city, but like this one is going to be, you know, free technology and the advancements that we want in flying cars in these cities, but still surrounded by nature, that will be available as well. So there's these pockets of, or pods of opportunity all over the world where you could really be free to go. I don't see borders anymore. I feel like it's just like this opportunity to go to experience different ways of living. And if you want to be in the city living for a few years, that's great. You know, you want to fly your car, you want your car to fly in the air, you know, to get places, that's great too. Then you go over here and you're outside in a new experience, and it's just vastly different. And I've seen it very clearly. And what I was explaining in my interview was, I can say with certainty that they would not allow all of these beautiful New Earth children to come in at this time, and they would not allow me to see visions such as that at this time. They would not have all of these Lemurians coming to me at this time, and they certainly would not allow me, or I would not be able to manifest the youth centers that I've been creating in my mind for 6 years since my daughter was born, 7 years. It's finally, it's coming to fruition, and I have people looking to invest, and the animation. So if you put all of these things together, what I interpret that as, things are moving, and we are at a pivotal point where we are on the edge of this new opportunity. So we're still in the kind of the end game here, and it all has to play out. But the hurricane has passed, and it's the cleanup time. That was the other metaphor I was given recently in a session with somebody else, where their guide said, "Listen, Sherri, the hurricane has passed. The devastation has already occurred, even though it still looks like we're in it because of the false narrative that's being played out, and there's so many lies and manipulation. If you bring yourself above that and look down, it's cleanup time. It's all about cleanup. And then I believe 2022 is about rebuilding and creating and manifesting. And then 2023 is when things really start to get going. So there's stages involved, but I'm really, really positive in that at the end of this year, we still have some months to go in that cleanup period, but the change has already occurred. It's like we're at the point of no return. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually
for all of those reasons.
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually felt quite emotional when you were describing that. I don't know if you did as well.
I did, yeah.
We had the same reaction to your conversation last time, Sherri. We felt quite emotional from it with the different things you were saying, and I think, you know, it's not people's fault, but I think everyone at the moment just wants quick, hot, cheap news all about what's going on. They want to know what's going on. They want predictions. They want that sort of thing because they want something to cling on to, and we can totally understand why people are feeling that way. But when you talk about the future, the way that you just did, and the way that you described the possibilities going forward, it really gives you hope, and it makes, you know, us realize what we're doing here is actually contributing in such a good way. And what you're doing, Sherri, is so amazing, and it really allows you to restore that faith, knowing what we've probably known our whole lives. We always talk about this. Julia and I have been awake our whole lives in a sense, and as you have, Sherri, I'm sure. It's great to be able to be so close to that, and we encourage viewers, just keep holding on and watch videos like this, because it's not always about the news, the news that's coming through on like a treadmill of news every day. It's not all about that, because that's just little fragments piecing it all together. I love this because we're looking at it in a holistic sense. So that's really an amazing thing to have.
Do you intend to open centers worldwide? Is that the goal?
Yes. And I keep telling people, think bigger, and my guides keep telling me, Sherri, think bigger. Because I'm like, well, what about this? And they're like, think bigger. I'm like, okay, well, what about this? Think bigger. So I'm thinking big now. Okay. And I'm telling the universe, I am embracing this, and I'm thinking very huge. I'm planning a beautiful partnership with a beautiful woman, and for retreat centers in certain areas of the world, which I won't disclose. I'll tell you guys offline, but I don't want to say it too fast. But retreat centers, I would love to have one in every major city in every state of the United States, and I would love to have them all over the world. I want these youth centers to be as popular as Starbucks. That is my mission, because it is more important to the future generations of our children and humanity, and where we go from here. This is our opportunity to rebuild. So my biggest message to people right now, it doesn't matter your age or your intuitive abilities, that really doesn't matter. What I encourage people, and I think that's a big part of my mission in speaking publicly right now, is to stop focusing your energy on what the dates are, or what you saw in the news, or what you heard through the grapevine. People get around it. They say, I don't watch the news, but the next thing you know, they're talking about what's on the news. Well, you're talking about what's on the news, even if you said you didn't see it. So it's like, okay, people this is what 4D is about. It's time to heal yourself. It's time to focus on what your traumas are. You don't need somebody like me. It's nice to have someone like me to help you, but I mean, I'm one person. I can't help everybody. Everybody can do this on their own. They really can. Anybody watching this, all you have to do is have an intention. My intention is I am healing my wounds, and I am raising my consciousness, and I am going to release any and all energy that no longer serves my highest good. And then the way you actually make that come to fruition is by changing your thoughts. Energies have emotions, thoughts have emotions. What you put your thoughts and energy in is what you're going to create. So create bigger, think bigger. So heal yourself, and then think to yourself, be proactive in the architects of the new world. That's the theme I've been getting a lot. We need architects of the new world. It doesn't all have to be children. There are a lot of people that are here and ready to rebuild. So what do you want your pod to look like? What is it that you're interested in, how you're interested in contributing? It's not all about the children. There are a lot of adults out here that are gonna need help with PTSD and trauma, and understanding what this new world is, and all the lies and that they have been through. And that's trauma in and of itself. Animals still need our guidance. You know, there's a part of me that feels like, oh, I've abandoned the animals because I did animals for such long part of my life. But I know that there are beautiful people that are going to embrace and help with the animals. The planet needs our energy as well to heal. So there's a plethora of options. And so it's really all about manifesting and bringing forth, or putting your energy to designing what the new world will look like with no limits. And thinking big. Everybody watching this needs to pretend they're 5 years old again, where you could visualize like unicorns in the sky and rainbows, and you could walk on the marshmallow pillow clouds in the sky. Like, bring back that inner child imagination and create the world you want, so that if we're all focusing on a beautiful new way of living, if everybody did that on the planet, and nobody watched the news, and nobody people refuse to participate in the negativity that lowers the vibration of not only that person, but those people around. It's all relative, and it affects everybody either in a positive way or a negative way. So if we all choose to elevate and focus our energy on creating a new world, like the pods and things that I talked about, this process will go by so much faster. But the problem is there's so many people that either don't believe it, aren't aware of it, or don't understand it. And so hopefully by my messages of me speaking the same things over and over again, and other beautiful people, there's a lot of disinformation out there. And I saw a video recently, and I'm not one to bash anybody, so I will not say who it was, but they made a comment about how, I think it was 90% of the people that are truthers, like myself, like you beautiful ladies out there, that are trying to give people information and elevate, that are working for the dark. 90% are evil. And I my stomach dropped, and I was like I felt like somebody punched me in the stomach, because that's how I reacted to it. Because that is so, what that is that person likely has gotten their information mixed up and is now confusing. Imagine all the people out there now thinking in their mind, oh my God, okay, so 90% of people are wrong, and they're telling me the wrong thing. Imagine how confused they are. They're like, okay, so out of 90%, only 10%? Oh my gosh, I don't know who to trust anymore. Suddenly their vibration drops, and there's mass like chaos, and these people are already vulnerable because they're just waking up. They don't know who to believe. And now we have people out there saying, well, 90% of the people you're watching are working for the dark. And I'm like, that is disinformation, and that is done by design to confuse people, and that is wrong.
Wrong.
I completely agree, Sherri. I think I know what you're talking about, and I remember that particular week feeling exactly like that, like I'd been punched in the stomach. It was difficult, and I can't imagine how difficult it was for viewers, because they would have been completely thrown off, and as you said, lower their vibe, and it's already confusing enough as it is, and people are having so many trust issues with this anyway. So yeah, I'm glad you brought up that point, and it's people need to, as you said, just stay away from anything that is just pulling the whole vibration down.
People just need to use discernment. That's all. You know, listen with your heart, not with your mind. When someone's talking, if it feels right and it resonates with you, and if there's a positive message, it's probably something good. But if you're feeling down and scared when you're listening, because I mean, it is good to know what's going on from the truthers that are telling the right side of it. So I don't feel like that's bad. But you have to find the balance, right? So I feel like I'm not a distractor. What is the word I was going to say? Like, I feel like I am here to like bring people's attention. Like, okay, that's enough darkness or truth. Now come over here and let me bring you up and lift you up and tell you what to do to focus on your own ascension, you know? Like, so there's like a nice balance of the two. But there are a lot of truthers out there that are not working for the light, and I would say it could be a good 40 to 50%, and that's terrible, but certainly not 90%. So people need to just trust their intuition, trust that gut. We have it for a reason. If something throws you off, don't listen to that person anymore, or take a break from that person and redirect.
Yeah. And I often find it's that feeling of sort of if someone makes you feel sort of too excitable or too desperate, in a sense, like you're always hanging out for something more, I feel like that for me is a bit of a off-putting feeling, or I come away feeling really like confused and sort of a bit out of body or something. Like I find that's when I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't the right person for me to be connecting with. So we're very much like you. Okay, that's what's happening, but let's come over here and lift the vibration again. And hopefully people walk away feeling calm and positive and like, yes, I've got this. I can create this. I can create exactly what I want. And I think also, Sherri, being aware of all this, I guess, the bad things that have been going on in the world, this awareness also gives people the possibility to recreate, because now we know all these things. And that then ties back to your thinking bigger, because before we were so limited, I think, with what we knew, good and bad. And now with what we know, we can sort of go, okay, well, we definitely don't want that anymore. Now we've got the opportunity to really think in such a big way, like you said. And even as we're becoming more galactic citizens, that's like a concept that I probably knew, but I never really thought possible. So I think it all sort of ties together to that thinking bigger picture, I think.
Yeah. Sherri, I just wanted to touch on a point that you made in one of your recent videos. You said you were hardly sleeping at the moment. Now, I know you're a very busy person, but we were having a lot of trouble sleeping, especially last week, which was following the Lionsgate portal timeframe, with all the energies that were coming out from that. And we do struggle quite a lot. Both of us do. And we talk about it. And then I was saying it one day, and then Julie said, don't worry, Sherri's having trouble sleeping too right now. So that actually made me feel better. And I wanted to ask you about that. Do you think it's just because your mind is literally turning too much? Or do you attribute this to a part of the ascension, part of this awakening that we're having right now? And
it's definitely part of the ascension. One, I think it's ascension symptoms because our body's changing and our frequency is adjusting. So, ringing ears, like I'm getting a lot of headaches, like really bad headaches, like headaches like I've never had before. And I know that it has a lot to do with stress, especially with the animation series that really put a lot of stress on me recently. But I know it's also ascension because I know my frequency is adjusting. I could feel it. I feel these energy surges in my body. I have to breathe through them like I'm having contractions again, like I'm in labor. That's the best way I could describe it. Without the pain, it's different, but it's like they come in these waves, and it's can be really unsettling. And I can't sleep, but I know, and I know a lot of people are going through the same thing, and you're tired all day long, and it's really hard to get through the day. I've been told it's all hands on deck, meaning we are working night and day. So when we are sleeping, or trying to anyways, etherically and astrally, we are still working. We are still, I feel like I'm among the angelic realm where I'm like, on the other end, like I'm planning and mediating and healing and assisting as much as I can in that realm, while I'm also doing it during the day. And then I feel like those that are like the warrior type, they're unable to sleep peacefully because they're astrally fighting in the spiritual war, like literally fighting, and they're waking up, and they not only are they tired, but they have bruises in their body, and they can't walk, and their ankle is hurting, and they're like, what happened to me overnight? There are so many things happening right now that is just would blow your mind if you really could wrap your head around it fully, which I try not to, because it's just too vast for my brain to comprehend, but it's a lot. And you know what I mean? But the sleeping is the hardest and most challenging for me personally, because I've always been a sleeper. I could sleep like 12 hours a day, no problem. And so this is hard because I have full days with clients, one-on-ones and classes, and then I have my children that I take, that I have to be there for. And it's just, it's a lot. So those of you that are experiencing the lack of sleep, I empathize with you really, but all hands on deck, right? That's what the ascension is about right now.
I said this to you the other day, Julia. Julie was having a bit of a low sort of day, and I said, look, we just have to keep going, just have to keep pushing. I know you're tired, but exactly how you just said. So I'm glad you reiterated that. But that's what we're here for. We're here to boost each other up, and that's what these videos are about. That's what you're helping people to do as well. Just keep people pushing through those difficult moments.
Do you think that as we transition through this, we will return to sort of normal sleeping cycles, or do you think that as we move into this new earth, that's all going to look different? We don't need as much sleep, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay. So what I've seen with that is not only will we need less sleep, because a lot of the new earth children, which is very frustrating for parents, they don't sleep. They they don't need it. So they're sleeping like 5-6 hours a night and they're ready to go, or they have interrupted sleep. But it's all training for us. There's so much going on to train us, which I think I could talk about. This is a whole nother thing. But you know, I don't see us sleeping as much because we won't have a need, but I also see us eating less food, and our diet will change significantly, which is with the whole intuitive eating comes in right now. So we will feel more rested, but perhaps require less sleep. But in the interim, as we shift in frequencies and we rise, we will sleep better. But right now we're going through these massive shifts, especially with the full moons and the Lion's Gate and all these activating times. There's surges in that energy, and then you have times where I think that's also why I'm getting these horrible headaches. But then it'll be like that for like a week or two, and then suddenly for a week I'm sleeping just fine, no headaches, I'm totally fine, and I'm energized. And then for 3 days it's like, okay, whoa, I can't sleep again. I'm feeling dizzy today. Like, it's all over the place that you think like, oh, you know. And I encourage people, you know, of course, go to the doctor. But if nothing comes up and the tests are negative and the doctor says you're fine, then it's likely energetic, most likely energetic. And so, but it comes in waves, which I think helps, because then I have some reprieve in between. And I think a lot of people have that same thing. I don't know if that's happening to you, where you're fine for a few days, so you get some reboot.
Yeah. And then you're like,
you're describing us.
completely flat. All right, that's great, Sherri. I think the message is also to be flexible, and we always talk about it's about unlearning as much as we are learning, and I suppose letting go of the rigidness of what our old lives were, and being very flexible. I think with, oh, that's okay that I didn't do this today, or it's okay that I felt this tired, it's okay that I feel this energized. It's like being adjusting to those new things and going with your intuition on it, so it doesn't have to be so structured, because we came from a very sort of structured background as well in certain jobs that we had, and we're unlearning how to get out of those patterns, I suppose, and you sort of feel a bit weird, but
it takes time.
You know,
It's the deprogramming element. That's a big part of 4D, is we're being deprogrammed now to step back and say, it's like exactly what you just said. It's okay if this doesn't happen this way. It's okay if my day doesn't go exactly how it's been, or that, you know, everything is changing, and the children are here to break up those patterns for us, to get us all like, oh wow, you know, it's okay if it doesn't go this way. I did it as a child, but my child doesn't need to go through that, or they don't need that same lesson. So it's a lot of deprogramming as well, which is good but uncomfortable.
Yeah. In regards to where we're at, like right now, it does feel as though, we talked about this in one of our videos, it does feel as though we're sort of like empty vessels that need filling up again, because we're releasing all this baggage. And with the filling up of that, because we're sort of empty in a sense, when you're so confused like this, and there's so much stuff that you can't trust and misinformation, and we're trying to create the new, it is very confusing, and it's very confusing to know what you want to manifest. Would you recommend in this time frame specifically to be very broad with your goals, perhaps, or your intentions?
I think it could go both ways. I think if you're really connected and you're really intuitive and you've been awake for a while, those are the people that it's time for you to really get specific. For me, with my youth centers, it's time for me to get very specific about what I envision for the children, what I'm trying to create. But for somebody that's just woken up, I mean, like I said, I joke about it, but it's not funny. I have people that email me saying, I woke up like within the last week. Oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start, you know? And so those people probably aren't ready to start manifesting. What they need to focus on is healing. And in a broader term, what I always tell people is this: if you just say that I am putting all of my love and light and energy into what is for the highest good of humanity, to me, that really is a powerful statement, because what's in the highest good of humanity is literally what's in the highest good. So anything less than our highest good collectively that's going to help us evolve and ascend, it eliminates all of that. So you don't have to be that specific if you're not sure. If you just want to, you're like, I don't even know what I'm manifesting, then you just send love and light, raise your frequency, and you say, I am projecting and manifesting a life that is in the highest good of all of humanity. And you keep it very simple. That's it. You don't have to be very specific if you're not there yet. And in fact, those people really they should be focusing on is releasing anything and everything that is not of that person's highest good at the time, and practice and on their own healing. And then they can be more of service to humanity in a much more profound way, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it does.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess, Sherri, in terms of healing, how do we, or people that are perhaps, and I guess we all are in a sense, we are sort of stuck in some quite negative surroundings at the moment. There's a lot of negative things being thrown at us in terms of news, maybe people around us that don't agree with the decisions that we're making, and we don't agree with them. How do you I guess, start to quantum heal if you're still in that old sort of space, if you're still in old environments, or perhaps lower vibrational surroundings and people? What would be the first step that people could do just to sort of get into that headspace?
So are you talking about they're ready for their healing, but they're surrounded, unfortunately, by family and friends that are still asleep?
Yes, yes. So
if the vibration of the people around them are a lot lower than them, but they can't get out, or
how do you learn to block out of that? Like, what's a good step that people could take to block out of the noise, I guess, in a sense?
Well, this is one of the most common things that I'm working with a lot of my clients right now, is that exact thing. They are the only one, literally, in all of their family, and to the point where they've been outcasted, where they're not even allowed, they're not even allowed to see their family members because they're crazy, deemed crazy, or they're not, thieves, so they're not allowed to see everybody, that sort of thing. So the best advice I could give you is an energetic exercise where, I'm all about, I love the word superpowers, because I think it was stolen from us with the movies, to make us feel like we don't have them and other people do, and we should admire that. Again, putting other people on a pedestal. So in my animation series, this last episode is one of my favorites, because I start talking about superpowers, and I'm teaching and guiding not only children, but adults, that we have our own superpowers. Each and every one of us has the innate ability to heal ourselves, to protect ourselves, to raise our frequency. So for those people, they need to utilize their superpower. And what that means is they need to energetically create merkabas, or ask if they believe what they believe in, Archangel Michael, or their guardian angels, or their spirit guides, or whatever, to surround them with a golden bubble of light from the moment they wake up in the morning till the moment they go to bed, to keep them in this cocoon of their own vibration. And then in the meantime, that they're not affected so much by the environmental, because we have two factors that affect our vibration. It's our emotions, so we're in control, and then there's the external, the environment, which we have no control over. So I teach people and I guide them how to protect their own vibration from the external that they can't control, which is creating boundaries, energetic boundaries. Do not engage, do not fight with those people. Just send love and light energy out, but keep yourself cocooned in love, light energy that's high frequency, so you're not affected. And then using earth energy to raise your vibration, going outside. In the video for kids, it's just as good for adults too, because you could do the exact same exercise that I'm teaching children on how to feel energy for yourself, how to heal yourself, how to ask for the white light, high frequency light to come through your body to help heal you, how to connect to earth to ground you. And these are all things that will raise your vibration. And then the bubble of light and the merkabas and other things will help prevent you from being affected by other environmental factors that you aren't in control of. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
yes.
It is.
Yeah.
And it actually leads perfectly into our next 2 points.
Yes, the merkabas. Sherri, do you have one there to show the viewers?
Yeah, I do. So this is one that I keep next to my bed when I'm sleeping. Citrine inside, clear quartz and citrine mix. It's a beautiful merkaba that I keep on my bedside to help me to remain protected and from any energy that wants to come in and mess with me, because light workers, we get messed with a lot. But I have so many boundaries around this house. I call upon the animal kingdom. So the outside of my house, what it looks like is a zoo. I have elephants, giraffes, bears, wolves, like cheetahs, like literally in the perimeter of my house. That's the first layer, and then it gets bigger. So no one's getting in here. But then you have necklaces that you could wear. You know, this is a larger one. This is what I normally wear when I do sessions on people, because I'm working galactically and interdimensionally. So I need to make sure I'm protected and safe as well. So I highly recommend people wear these. But you can get also, there's smaller versions of them. You don't have to get the big ones.
Could you get hold of those at, you know, like crystal shops or sort of spiritual new age type stores? Are they easy to get hold of?
They are, but it's harder to find them in metaphysical stores. For some reason, at least in my area, we have 4 and I've only seen 1. So I get all of mine on Etsy, and please don't email me. I'm not going to be able to give you like the exact vendor to use, but I always discernment, and I find ones that I like, and I look at the reviews, and I make an intuitive decision on whether or not their product, their crystals are pure and good. So, you know, I've bought them from a bunch of different Etsy vendors for mine, and I have like 7 more, but they're in my office. I have beautiful big ones, small ones. So if you have a psychic child, I highly recommend parents buy them. You can get one this size and put it next to their nightstand. Or if they're old enough, they can wear the pendant. My 2 youngest wore this exact one. Everyone has one at night, every night during bedtime for like forever. And then I think they broke and they stopped wearing them. But a lot of it has to do with your state of mind. Like if you feel like you're empowered and you don't need it, like they're like, I don't need it, Mom. And I'm like, okay, you don't need it, you know, because I know that they're embracing their power. But before that, they wanted it. I highly recommend them for everybody because they are very profound in their geometrical shape, their abilities to not only protect you, but they raise your frequency. So they work twofold.
So yes, Sherri, I actually might link your video, which does talk about the merkabas, below this video, so people can go and watch that as well. But you did speak about how you don't necessarily need something to hold or to wear. You can just create the shape around you as your protection. So you don't need to go out and buy anything if you don't feel called to do that. And it is about activating your own power within as your protection. So I wanted to ask, you also talk about guides, your angel guides and things like that. When do you call on your guides, and when do you just use something like your protection, like your merkabas, or do you just talk to yourself? How do you mix the two together, and do you need guides? Does everyone need guides?
That's a really good question. I feel like that's going to be individually, like it's an individual or a very personal question for each person listening. So everybody has, whether you want it or not necessarily, everybody has guardian angels and everybody has spirit guides that are with you, whether you're aware of them or not. I think it's most empowering, and I think they would agree with me as well, for us to activate our own power and to connect with our own soul, to be able to receive guidance and answers and protect ourselves with our own merkaba of light. First and foremost, so establish a relationship and a connection, because people are so quick to say, oh, I want to connect with my guardian angels and my spirit guides, which is great. But really, most importantly, it's about connecting to yourself, because through doing that, you will have a much easier time connecting with them, if that makes sense. It's harder to go around yourself to connect to them.
Yes.
Yeah. But there certainly is nothing wrong with once you establish a connection with a guardian angel or a guide, calling on them. That's what they're there for. Because you have free will. So a guardian angel can only do so much, and they can only step in if it's like life-altering things. That's why you hear about, freak accidents and them surviving. Their angels stepped in to save them, because they could, like, if they had died, it would have been catastrophic, because it would have affected too many other lives if they were not there. So they will intervene. And spirit guides will knock you over the head trying to get your attention, like throw rocks in your path, birds will fly in front of you, the lights will flicker. Like, they'll do what they can to get your attention as much as they can. But it's so much easier if you just say, oh, I may not know who you are, your name, or I may not be able to see you, but I'm thankful that you're there, and I'm open and ready for any guidance that you have for me. And they'll figure out ways to protect you. Same with your guardian angels. But really, first and foremost, it's about getting your own power and protecting yourself, which is why I like the Merkaba. And in the video that you're talking about, which I forgot that I did that, I teach you how to make your own without anything. You don't need, crystals are great. Tuning forks are great. Everything is great to have, they're beautiful, any tools that you have, but really it's about using your own power. and our ability to activate certain energy centers in our body that can do so much more than a crystal can. It's nice to have them because they're complementary. It's nice to have this and sleep next to it. But before I go to bed, I make sure I activate my own Merkaba of light before I fall asleep. Or I activate my own Merkaba of light before I work on a client and invite extraterrestrials into my space. You know what I'm saying? So that way I know I'm fully protected. And then this is a bonus. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, it's about them getting your power within, and then the guides are sort of like an additional power that you can connect with. Okay. But yes, it does make sense that you'd have to really tune in with yourself to have that better interaction with your guides. It makes sense that way.
Sherri, what percentage do you think people need to hold a high vibration on a day-to-day basis in order to, I guess, see changes or create a tipping point in their life where they're actually able to manifest in whatever they want and create the life that they really want to see individually? Do you think there's a percentage of each day that we need to be in that sort of, I guess, that 5D headspace? And obviously, you know, connecting in with the Merkaba and to your higher self and that sort of thing helps. But how much of the day do we need to be doing this? Is it individual, or do you recommend something?
No one's ever asked me that, and I don't think that there's an underlining percentage that I could give, because I do also think it's different for everybody. It has a lot to do with the density that they're in, how many lives they've had, how connected they are. Right. Children, I'll tell you, after 2012 are pretty much in that 5D element all the time without trying, with no effort. Whereas, and it also depends on your lifestyle and what you're able to do. But I would say, you know, if you could aspire to greater than 50% of the day would be great. And it's not about sitting in meditation. You don't need to be hugging a tree or playing with crystals or, you know, in the lotus pose outside on top of a mountain. Like that's that new age, you know, that new age stuff that really was supposed to confuse us. That's not how it's meant to be. You could go for a walk for 30 minutes and be in nature, and that counts. You know, drive in your car and turn off the radio and see what messages come to you. Sleeping is part of that, because it's rejuvenation. Reading a book, you know, it's about how you spend your time in the hours that you're free. If you're working, I understand that there's not much you can do about it. But a lot of people on their breaks are quick to grab their phone for their only 30 minutes of free time, and they're on Facebook or whatever. You know, I'm guilty of it too. So I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but it's being more mindful about what you're choosing to do with the free time that you do have. And a lot of these things don't take that long, and they have lasting effects. The breathing exercises that I teach, that are also in my book, that I've done videos and I've done a lot of interviews where I've explained mindful breathing, 3 minutes of that can impact you for the entire day. It could reset your entire system into that parasympathetic, more peaceful, balanced state. Whereas if you didn't do that, you know, your day might be a lot harder. Or you do the white light exercise, you know, at your lunch break after you've eaten in an area where no one sees you, so you don't feel silly, and that could recharge you better than your food can for the rest of your day. So it's about taking advantage of the moments that you do have and being creative with what you're using your time for, whether it's a 2-minute exercise or spending that time reading a book, or whatever it is that you want to do that's not involving electronics and distraction, because that's what they do, right? They distract us. They want us to be distracted perpetually. We work all day, we listen to the radio on our way home, or we call our friends and gossip. We get home, we sit down on the couch and we watch Netflix or Prime or something like that till we fall asleep. And then we do the next day we do it again. And that is disconnecting us perpetually our entire life. And that's why we're so disconnected. But if we break the pattern, then we can break free of that.
That's great.
Perfect examples.
Yes.
And a lot of them are so easy to do as well. Yeah. It's just a matter of changing that mindset and just going, no, I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm just going to come. And you see people outside walking, and, you know, obviously they're out to do exercise, but they're looking at their phone when they're walking. So they're taking away some of the good stuff that they're doing. So anyway, we're all guilty of that, aren't we, at times?
Me too.
Sherri, we wanted to talk about the shadow self. It's quite a popular term that I feel like maybe some of our audience would like to hear your description of the shadow self. and how, if it's very active, it can affect our manifesting abilities. But also, is there a need to have your shadow self somewhat active?
And I have a whole chapter on this in my first book, The Shadow Side, and it is instrumental in our human experience. So it's much like the ego, where it's part of our fight or flight. It's part of our primal aspect of ourselves to survive and to make decisions and choices, and from a more of a cognitive space. So it is very important, and we have that part of ourselves. Even little innocent children, you know, they feel that power, and they see a bug and they're like, I'm gonna step on it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the shadow side. That's the dark part of us that is all within us, because we need a balance of light and dark. My thing is, we don't need the evil. I disagree with people that say we need the evil, but we do need the dark and the light, because it's about the yin and yang and the balance. So the shadow side of us is within us from the moment we're born throughout our entire life, and it gets activated in certain circumstances that could be quite profound and minimal, like the bug stomping, example, to how you react to somebody that's bullying you. Do you turn around and next thing you know, you have this huge fight and you're getting physical? That shadow side becomes more active. For those unfortunate souls that are abused perpetually at a young age, and they are in a negative state and they're not given any love, their shadow side starts to take over. And those are the ones suddenly, when they're an adult, they are the people that do horrible things, because their shadow side is now taken over, because they had no love throughout their life, and it just took over because they were not given any positive love and interaction that they needed to keep the shadow side in check. Right. So it's an important part of our primal aspect of being a human being. But it's all about recognizing it and keeping it in check and learning how to do that. It's all about mindfulness. It's all about having compassion and empathy for others. It's how what words you choose to use when you talk to people. When you look at somebody, instead of looking at them in disgust, look at them in concern and, gosh, what happened to that person, instead of being like, what an a-hole, like, I always think about it like, gosh, what happened to that person in their life to make them be that way? I'm very empathetic in that regard. For a lot of things. I draw the line in the sand when we get to murder and other things, and then I empathize with the soul as opposed to the physical aspect of the person, because there's a detachment there, and I send love and light to the soul, because that's what needs healing. And so the shadow side is important. And right now I feel like that shadow side is really activated in the spiritual war, because it's being tested with a lot of people. And fear and anger are the two emotions that will cause that shadow side to take over. And it's all about bringing it back down. And people are not bringing it back down because they're perpetually afraid right now of the unknown, or they're believing the things that they're hearing on the TV and in the news and all of that. That is not all of it's true. Most of it's not true. But again, their shadow side is taking over. And that's where we have these massive arguments between families that are suddenly there that never were before, where families are literally not talking. And not only are they not talking, but they hate each other. There's hate there now because of something as silly as, one of those or things like that. And it's unfortunate, but I think it's also a part of our growth. And I think that we can learn from our shadow side right now in this exact moment. So then we move forward, we can become friends with it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. I think sometimes people don't understand how to react to certain situations. Like if they're in a situation with their family where they completely disagree and they're genuinely concerned for their health, for example, with this situation, and they feel that anger bubbling up. I think people struggle with, how angry am I allowed to get at this? And should I just suppress it? And what's the right way to respond these days? I mean, I think all those questions are coming up for people. And I think it's that they don't essentially know how to feel their own feelings and then allow them to process and let go.
Well, no, what you just said is exactly the key. It's not about suppressing it. It's about recognizing that you're in control of your own journey and they're in control of theirs. And you have to create boundaries. Don't engage. I tell people, don't engage. You're not going to win the argument, no matter if you're right or wrong, or no matter if you're right, because you are right, but don't engage, because they're not ready to hear. If you're arguing from a perspective and a vibration that's here, and you are arguing with somebody that's in a perspective or a vibration that's down here. Do you see the disconnect? No, it's like one person speaking Chinese, one Swahili. They're never going to be on the same level of understanding. Their perception is different. So I tell my beautiful clients, do not engage, just create boundaries and send them love and say, and think to yourself, when they're ready, I'll be there for them. And certainly do not carry the burden for those family members, because it's too much to bear. And if anything, what it's doing is causing those people who are trying to ascend to bring them back down. And they're not able to follow through with their own healing, because they're so worried and so consumed by the family that is not where they are, that they have to disengage. So it's all about having respectful boundaries. You know, there are people in my life that have done certain things that I just thought, wow, I can't believe. And I just said, you know what, that's their choice. And I don't think about it. I let those feelings go. And I focus it back on my own healing, and I transmute that frustration or what I'm feeling out and into light. And then I move on, I move forward.
Yeah, just letting it go and transmuting. Great.
Yeah. Sherri, last time we talked about the transition from 3D to 5D, and we also touched on the 4D phase as well, and we have again today a little bit throughout this chat. Can you maybe help to explain, I guess, the differences between 3D and 5D manifesting? Like, what are the main principal differences of manifesting in those phases?
Really good. That's a really good question. So just like I just gave the example of having a conversation with somebody in a higher vibration with somebody in a low vibration. So we have this that happens. So when you're in 3D and you're trying to manifest, I want people to understand that what they are going to manifest is also going to match the vibration that they're currently in. So if you're trying to manifest something and you're in a 3D, I'm just whatever, this is 3D. You're going to manifest 3D. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have to raise your frequency and your consciousness higher so that you can manifest and match it, because it's very hard to manifest in a third density reality, not third dimension. That is out of our control in the moment, right? Because we're not quite in the fifth dimension yet. I'm talking about the density you're in. If you're in a third density, you're going to manifest in the third density. If you want to be in third density and manifest in a fifth density, then you need to bring yourself up to fifth density by doing a million things that we've already talked about and how to do that, and then manifest from there. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you hit a wall or a ceiling, whatever you want to call it, on your manifesting, because you're limited to the frequency that you're in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think in the past, Sherri, I looked at 3D manifesting as like, I wanted a specific job. So I did the right study. I applied and kept pushing on a certain thing, and I pictured myself at that specific job. But there was a lot of action steps I took to get there, but it was very sort of constructed by my mind. It wasn't that I just thought about something amazing and then let it all go. So in terms of, is that how you would sort of also describe 3D manifesting?
Yeah, that's a very 3D way of looking at it. See, I was taking it a whole nother level. Yeah, no, I mean, manifesting in the 3D is going to be very 3D. So, those people, I'm trying to manifest that car, or I'm trying to manifest that house, or I'm trying to manifest a boat, or a relationship. Again, take the same premise as, if it aligns with your highest good. Maybe you came in here to learn lessons about money, and you're never going to be a millionaire. You're never going to have that mansion. Or perhaps you're manifesting too narrow, where you need to expand and broaden because there's something so much bigger. I was always told, when you're manifesting, don't limit yourself, because there could be something even better. Let's say, use a 3D example. Oh, I want to get a Lexus. I really love Lexus, and I pinpointed on that. And then next thing you know, you end up getting down the line all this extra money, and you get something better, whatever the better the Lexus is, I don't know. But the point is that you hadn't even thought of that because you didn't think it was an option. So It's like thinking bigger. But in a 3D reality, it is more 3D type of stuff, like jobs, relationships, finances. 5D is more about about projecting and manifesting on a wider scale. Like, how can we help the children? How can we help the earth, the animals? It's much bigger. It's not personal anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So in terms of your 5D manifesting and helping humanity, or whatever your visions and desires are, we are still needing to take those action steps, or is it more that we can expect, with the right visualization, the right intention, and the right vibration alignment, that things appear more magically?
Yeah. And, I had a guy come to me one time in a session, and they said something that really made sense to me, and it changed the way I started manifesting moving forward. And it was basically what she was saying is, when you manifest, you have to accept as though it's already occurred. So you ask once and you let it go, because we're designed to keep asking. It's like we pray the same thing over and over. And what you're telling the universe is you don't believe what you're asking for. And perhaps maybe you don't feel underliningly that you deserve it. So you're asking for it, but then there's a part of you that's like, well, I don't believe it will happen, or maybe I don't deserve it. So you have to visualize and put the intention out there. And then you tell the universe, thank you, as if it's already occurred. So you put it out there once, and now continue after that. What you're doing, instead of asking for it, you're thanking the universe for it as if it's already happened. Does that make sense? So it's a completely different process. That it works much better, because it's like you're giving thanks, you're having gratitude. The energy starts to activate and work much quickly, and you'll be surprised things happen much faster. But it also has to align with your highest good. So this is what's the most frustrating to people about manifesting, and they say, oh, it doesn't work. Because if you're trying to manifest something that doesn't align with your highest good, it's not part of your soul's journey, it's not going to happen. And then if it doesn't happen, you say, well, see, I told you this doesn't work. So you have to try to manifest in a way where you say, is this within my highest good? Is this what's in my highest good, in my soul's journey, what I'm here to learn, what I'm here to create? So you have to try to shift your perspective a little bit in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It does make sense. I like the way you put that. Yes. Sherri, I know we've probably run over time already, but we just wanted to touch quickly on your Divinely Guided Children's short animated film series. Now, I know you've now released the third one, haven't you? Just recently on your YouTube. Yeah. And your website as well. What was the story around that? Because I know you changed animators. There was a little story behind that, wasn't there? And I want to know how you manifested. We're talking about manifesting. How did you manifest a new animator so quickly? Because they could be quite hard to come by, given the content of what you were doing. Nobody else is really doing it. So how did you do that?
Gosh, it was a struggle. It was a huge roadblock. Because I got lucky. I partner with this beautiful friend of mine, Cami, in Florida, who's an artist and she's she creates the animations. And so she already had somebody. And so it was very easy. This company did the first two, no problem. And it was easy, effortless. I mean, literally, it was not an issue. I was like, man, this is great. And then all of a sudden, right when I sent in the third script, we got this message back pretty quickly that it didn't align with their religious beliefs. And because I was talking about the ascension, you could see what the third video is about, so it's no secret anymore. And they basically said, we wish you the best. It wasn't mean, but they said, we're not going to work with you anymore. You're going to have to find somebody else, because not only did he not agree with it, but some of his voiceovers, the actors, said this goes against my religious beliefs, and they refused to do the parts. So it blindsided both of us, and I was almost like devastated. I still remember the day I got the message, and I was just sitting in my kitchen. I just didn't move for like several minutes, and I was trying to process, like, what just happened, because I had the third and fourth script ready to go, and I was super excited because the third one was my favorite. And I had to think, and what I was told was, this is all for a higher purpose. Trust that this needs to happen now. And I said, well, I need you to bring the right animator to me. Well, the animators that we were finding were like 10, 20 times the expense. I can't even tell you how much some of them were. I was just like, you got to be, that's a car. You want me to pay a car for a 5-minute video? Like, unbelievable.
Oh,
So I was like, and I have paid for all of this by myself so far. So out of my own pocket, this was a vision for the children that I wanted to create. And I was like, well, I can't afford this. So it was hard. So we ended up finding a few that didn't work out. And then this beautiful guy walked in. I've never met him. I don't know if he's beautiful, but this beautiful soul walked into our life, and he aligns with the vision, and he's actually really excited to work on the project. And he asks me like how people are reacting to, like, there's energy behind this person where the other person didn't really seem to mind either way. So it's a good fit, and I'm really excited about it. I'm feeling very blessed that the universe put us together. I think it was when I stopped worrying and I said, whoever we're meant to work with, I'll find that person. And again, I said, and I thank the universe for bringing me somebody, and I just stopped worrying about it, and then it worked out. The only issue with this animator is that he doesn't have the skills or the right people to do the voiceover. So they sounded very AI and robotic. Mm-hmm. And we just went ahead and published it just to see what people would say. And there were a lot of people that said it was off-putting. So that's another hurdle that I'm having to deal with right now, because I'm having to hire actors, or like true actors, to play roles, which is a whole nother level of stress and a lot of different parts so that's where I think a lot of my stress has come from. But I believe in the vision so wholeheartedly. And not only is it helping children, but I can't tell you how many adults have emailed me and said, your videos are helping me. I'm watching them as an adult and I'm learning things. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, because I hadn't thought, like, that wasn't my mission or my vision. But in actuality, like, it could be for anybody, because it's a fun way to learn about these things. And so yeah, it's a lot, but I feel like maybe number 4, which will be out in probably the next 3 weeks, will be the right one, with the right voices. But it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Look, you turned that around so quickly, Jo. We're very impressed, and we love the little videos.
I like the fact that they're just little short films. It's information condensed in a nice little package with a bow on it, in a sense. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
That's what I really appreciate about it. So you're doing great work, and we're so glad you found another person to work with. He was obviously divinely guided to you to do that. So.
And Sherri, you're really at the forefront of how I see education in the future. And you're like a leader to me in that sense. I hope that everywhere in the world gets to experience the things that you're teaching, because that's what the world needs. Are you going to continue with the animated series? And also, can people help with that and make donations and things like that?
Yes, I am going to continue. I have dozens more. I mean, I want them to be just continue going as well. I mean, I have a list this big of topics that I want to get into. And so if people are willing to support, I'd be very appreciative of that. I have a donation page or donation link to PayPal on the Divinely Guided Children's homepage. And it goes directly to the animation. And those that have donated, I want to give my gratitude. And that money, 100%, literally goes right into paying the animators. So it 100% goes to that. And I'm grateful for any amount that I get. So if anybody watching wants to support, that is a way that they can donate.
Okay, we'll make sure we link that below as well, the video, Sherri.
As we said, we've run over time today already. It's just we always have so much to talk about with you. We could talk forever. So hopefully we will do another chat down the line. Hopefully you'll make time for that. That would be great. And I know the audience would really love that too, because so many people, we said it at the top end of the video, but people were asking us more videos for Sherri. And then people were also saying, can you do a video with Sherri? But we already had done a video with Sherri. So people need to and watch that as well. So there's plenty of content there for them to watch in the meantime. But thank you so much, Sherri, for your time again today. We love the chat.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to coming back and talking more.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Sherri.
Sherri.
Look forward to it.
We'll talk to you very soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.